We will be talking about human resources and project control. And next week, guys, we'll talk about project control techniques. So a few things about human resources, guys, that you have to ask yourself. Um, and I'm not, you guys have seen it firsthand in this program. Almost every week or other week, Adam, there was a guy or a gal walk into this place looking for the best and the brightest people. People are competing. You went, did the interview, Matt, and on the spot. Why do you think on the spot they give it to you? They like you, they like what you're doing, and they're competing for resources. They know other people are walking in, guys are looking for you. That's so in a hot economy, everybody's competing for the best and the brightest, and we believe you guys are the best and the brightest right now in this industry. Um, so human resources. When you're a project manager, Derek, when you leave Chad, you're going to be coming back to here because now, okay, you got it. In a couple of years, you're going to manage your own project. You have a need for a designer or an estimator. Somebody left you, you expanded, things change, right? So you thought, wow, I know a place where I can find good designers, at least entry-level designers or estimators or project managers. You're going to be right here. So you're going to be competing with others on resources. Where do you find people when we cannot hire new employees? So a lot of people guys come like in our industry, electrical industry. Mishad will tell you guys they go to UVM to hire an electrical engineer and to Dunwoody to hire a designer. And they typically like to balance that one. So as a project manager, your eyes and ears will be on where is the best location to find my entry level people like yourself, or um, make friends with all the estimators and the project managers in town. So when you need them, maybe they can jump ships, which I don't like to do that. But what does time cost use in terms of resources? It costs you a lot of money, Adam, to train a good employee. The last thing you want to do is lose a good employee because you don't know how to handle them or you don't keep them happy or what's not. So you're gonna hear a lot about guys. Not only it will cost you money as a project manager to hire good quality employees, and it will cost you also money to maintain and keep them. So the first resources we talk about, guys, is called the human resources. So as a manager, you will be human resources yourself, designers and estimators and project managers working on the project. So those guys, Karen, when they're working for you, the human resources designers and estimator, project manager, they're looking for you for directions. You are to provide them a direction. A lot of us guys like to know step one, where am I in this company and what's my future? So plan their future for them to maintain them, make them believe that they belong in the industry, regardless of what level they come, and give them directions. Support your employees, guys. When you have a good employees, remember the successful project is happy internal and external customers. Now internal customers, Adam, are your employees, the people who will answer you. You want to be happy. You perform more when you're happy, right, at work. So your job, treat when people work for you in the future, you're going to treat them exactly like you think. You want them happy. How do you make them happy? Support them, give them every tool that they need. If you're doing CAD and you need a bigger monitor and it's easy in the budget, get them a bigger monitor. It makes it a lot easier, make them perform better. Derek, you're going to doing Accubid right now at Parsons, and you need more training. They're coming in town. It doesn't cost a whole lot. Send him for you did the entry level with us here. Go for advanced training on Revit. Support, um, guidance. Also, the people that answer for you guys, they need to have guidance. Like I said, we are not. The guidance is professional guidance. You sit with people and tell them, here's what you should do. If you think, Karen, you're going to finish here, and probably you are one of the people who know that. If you think you're going to finish Dunwoody here, and you're going to you got all the knowledge that you need to be successful in the industry, you are wrong. New code is going to come, and you guys are going to go for a new training. New Revit version is going to come, Adam, and you're going to go for CAD. You're going to go for training for that one. So it's a continuous training for all of you. So that, as a project manager, explain this, put guidelines for your employees, encourage them. Another one is, guys, encouragement. Encourage your employees to excel, care about them. Remember, successful project is a happy internal and external customers. So these are a few things that you have to do um, to get your human resources and maintain and keep them. If you have a good estimator, guys, good companies, if you have a good estimator, they map their future. They say in 10, 20 years, you might be an owner of the company. You might have shares in the company. So give them a future, plan their future for them in the company. So we got, so these are your human resources, cost of the human resources. So first you need to find where you find the qualified people. A lot of people come to us in the design industry, guys, right? As well as the UVM to have engineers. You got them, now you need to train them and maintain them and make them happy. And you need to direct them, support them, encourage them, and guide them to perform better for you. Cost of human resources, the single most important thing that can make or break your project, Adam, is the human resources. People, salaries are expensive. The most important thing of a human resource is salaries. That's why the first every time, Matt, in the U.S. the economy is shaken, what do? Right? They call it restructuring the organization. What's restructuring the organization? Shed off some employees, right? They lay off people. That's how we restructure employees. The single most important thing, and you guys, you'll see over and over, that make or break your project is the people who are working on it. So you want to have the minimum amount of employees working on the project to perform a successful project, or the optimum. I don't like the minimum. The optimum amount of employees working on the project in order to perform for this project to be successful. You don't want it too many, too little. You need the optimum. Your employees, Adam, have cost you as salaries and also benefits. Typically, guys, if you are paid, $19 an hour, you probably have another $5-6 in benefits. A lot of benefits that you can have, and these benefits, different type fees and benefits that can from life and health insurance and what's not, and dental and what's not. So be aware that the employees cost you more. And Derek, you've seen that one. Remember when we use McCormick and AccuBid, way at the end, all these tabs. Do you guys remember the benefits? 40% benefits, 100% benefits. You take you're paid in the union, you're paid $33 an hour. They double this. You're $66 an hour. That's include your dues and benefits and what's not. So you almost double the amount that you're bringing goes for your benefits and dues and everything else. So be aware of benefits. And you guys, have no doubt that when we use, that's why estimating is tied to project management. Remember, I had that sheet that we were talking about. You check all these benefits that you can do, 40% or 100% benefits, typically 40%. Okay, so that's your benefits. Fees and cost of hiring. You guys have seen employee recruiting companies, Adam, come walk in here, and those guys headhunters, or they're looking for you so they can sell you to Mashad Cooley and make money. Do you guys know that? You can be hired in two ways in the electrical, in any industry. You can either be hired direct, and that's most of the employers like this one, Karen, because it costs them less. That's why they come here. What do you think they're coming here? They like us. They like Chad a lot, but they also like their business a lot. They come over here, they look at you, they introduce themselves, and they want to get you. If they don't, guess what's going to happen? Derek, you're going to go to a couple of recruiters. The recruiters will take your resume, and they help you a little bit, and they go sell you to Mashad Cooley Erickson. They can sell you in two ways, typically, guys. Either they can get $2,000. I don't know that number, but they say, give us $2,000, and here's a nice employee. If you guys hire them, you pay us $2,000. Cool. That's one way. The other way is they hire you, those recruiters, guys. The company will hire you and farm you to Mashad Cooley Erickson. And some companies like this one because then if you are done with the project, they don't have to lay you off. Because every time you lay off people, Derek, you pay more insurance on them and what's not, benefits, because when you lay them off, you put them in workman's comp and all this good stuff. Unemployment, you put them in unemployment. If you put them in unemployment, the government, if you're known as being big layoff, big hire, big fire, you will pay more in unemployment because you're shifting them to government, right? So anyway, so some companies, be aware, it's not enough to say, I'm going to go hire 100 people, lay them off tomorrow. You keep hiring and firing as people. Two things. Number one, you'll be known in the industry. I don't want to work for you. You work, you're not clear. You're not long term. no longevity of employment with you. Number two is you pay more with unemployment. So be aware of this one, guys. Fees and cost of hiring. Time to manage people. Here's one thing I'm going to tell you guys about human resources. I like this one. There's a term, Karen, that's called high, and Adam and Derek and Matt. It's called high maintenance employees. High maintenance employees. Two things. If you're an employee, Matt, you do not want to be on this list of high maintenance employees. Number one, if you're a project manager, you want to keep a good eye on the high maintenance employees. So they're defined as requires excessive amount of project manager's time. Typically, guys, they claim 20% of your, 100% of your problem, or 80% of your problem are coming out of 20% of your employees. 20% of your employees cause you 80% of your problems. This is called high maintenance employees. Advice for all of you guys in entry level, do not be on this list of high maintenance employees. Number one, when you become a project manager, you want to keep a good eye on the high maintenance employees. High maintenance employees are the people who have a drama, Derek. Every day they have a problem. They don't show up. They don't perform properly. They don't get along with people. So of course, the easiest way would be to go fire them. But firing is not always the solution, guys. So you have to spend some more time on training him, helping him, until you reach a point where maybe it's not working. But a lot of good employers, guys, they take a high maintenance employees and they work with them until they become not so high maintenance employees. Reduce them to the average. Every one of us need maintenance as employees, guys, but you don't want to be high maintenance. So these are the cost of human resources. Any question, guys? Any comments, any questions about the employees, hiring them, salaries, benefits, maintaining them? As a project manager, you have to spend some time maintaining and those employees and helping them and what's not. The second thing, guys, they talk about is capital resources. And you guys have heard these terms in different things. When we were doing Accubate and McCormick, do you guys remember the direct cost and the indirect cost that we got from McCormick? That's what they're talking about. Same terms, direct and indirect cost. According to this book, Adam, the direct cost is labor wages, overtime, premium, material, subcontractors, freight, and sales tax. And you guys have seen this in McCormick, right? When we went to Egan, do you remember the project manager, guys, when we were looking at after you do the takeoff, right, and you extend, at the end, there's a couple of other things that you have to fill, and that's where the project manager is going to be looking at them. That's your overtime, premium, material, subcontractor, freight, and sales, and what's not, and employees and benefits. Indirect cost, they listed them here. These are the costs that you have to pay attention is insurance, startups, overhead, utilities, security, marketing, goodwill, opportunities for problems, and what's not. Any comments, guys? Any questions about these human resources? The capital resources, direct and indirect. Direct and indirect capital resources. Any comments? Any questions? When you do the project, guys, there's a duration and cost. And Adam, the longer the project goes, the more it's going to cost you. There's indirect cost and there's direct cost. The direct cost at the beginning of the project will be very high. And as the project goes down, it will be very low. It will go down. The indirect cost, as the project starts, guys, it will be low. But as the project goes on, it will be high. So your job, Karen, is to find the optimum point, or the optimum duration and cost for this project. Optimum duration and cost for this project. So there's a few things, guys, about finding the optimum duration and cost for your project. Any comments, guys? Any questions? So there's a couple of curves for duration and cost. Here's time here, and here's cost. And you start here's indirect job. Your direct job is right here. And Adam, this is the optimum cost of your project right here in this point. This is direct, this is indirect. So there is a lot of graphs, and this is again time, T-time, cost for C, and that point is what you're looking at. They're looking at the point where you need the optimum amount of time and money to finish the project. It doesn't cost you, so should I stretch the project 2 more months? or should I finish it in 1 month and pump more people into it? Do you guys see what happened? You have two options, for example, Derek. You either stretch the project 2 months and lower the cost of your labor, or make it in 1 month and pump more labor into it. Which one is the better? So you need to look at, this is where they do the analysis, indirect versus direct, find the, instead of doing it 2 months or 1 month, how about if I go 1.5 months with optimum amount of people to finish it. So they start finding the optimum amount of people. Optimum is not a minimum, guys. Is the right, just the right amount of people and the right amount of time that you need to finish the, not just people, resources to finish the project. So there's a whole lot of analysis, and I'm going to save you guys some the headaches of getting into the optimum amount of time. Optimum amount of time. So you're going to hear this one all the time. There's activity crashing. Activity crashing, guys, is when you take an activity and you pump too much resources into it and manpower in order to finish it. So identifying these activities, and if you guys remember, we were talking about the critical path for the project. And when you have activities in the critical path, these are the ones that's going to decide if your project is going to be on time or not. So you have to pay a lot of attention to this. So when we talk about the activity crashing, finishing the project, the activity is shorter than what its duration. The activities, Adam, that you have to pick, number one, they have to be in the critical path. So it's important. Remember that we draw the critical path last time. Precedes multiple activities, and this activity is a bottle. They call it the bottleneck. So you have, I told you guys, 4 of you are working, and Derek, Matt is holding. Matt is doing, for example, Matt is setting up the project for the 3 of you guys to work. Matt is the bottleneck because you can't start your work until he sets up the project. So it's taking him longer than he should. So what do you need to do as a project manager? Pump money and maybe hire another person because he's overworked or making work overtime, whatever. So he can finish it on the optimum amount of time so you guys can start. Because there's a lot of activities depend on it. So these are what as a project manager, Derek, what you're going to be looking for. Bottlenecks. You're going to look at the ones that's holding your project, and make sure you do it. Long duration, an activity that has a long. Another activity that you need to pay attention to, the one that takes longer than everybody else. Maybe we can shorten it. Maybe we can pump more resources into it to make it short. Lower cost per period gain is another idea. Early in the project, when you want to start pumping this stuff in the activities, guys, start it early in the project because if you made a mistake, you can correct it as you move on. Labor intensive, any activity that has a lot of labor, you need to pay a lot of attention to it too, because that can make or project or break your projects. Activities that you need to pay attention to it is, they call it also subject to common problems. An activity that needs a lot of coordination. For example, Adam, when we're dealing with coordination with the concrete people, that's an activity you have to pay a lot of attention to. When they do the startup and you need to go put your conduits and they pour the concrete, right, and the foundation. That's a very critical activity. You don't want to make mistakes there. I pay a lot of attention to it because you make a mistake, it costs you a lot of time and money to correct it. So you have to identify the critical activities, guys, in your project. Pay a lot of attention to it. And then you have to do something called time cost trade-off analysis. Should I stretch the project 2 months and finish it cheaper, or should I finish it in 1 month and pump more money into it? So you have to do the trade-off between duration and cost. And that's where, Karen, you come up with something called optimum duration point, which, gentlemen, you're looking at it right here, my optimum duration point for this project with the direct and indirect cost. This is the overall cost of the project. It starts with typically a project guys start at the beginning, it will be very expensive. It goes down, and at one point, Adam, it's costing me a certain amount of money. After that, if you go after the optimum time, look what happened. The project starts costing you more. So you need to hit the optimum time for your project to get you the big result. And all these guys are big terminology and what's not, but ultimately, I keep repeating myself, guys. Ultimately, your goal is to deliver a project within budget, on time, with having internal and external customers with a quality work. That all these guys are techniques to get you there. Any comments, guys? Any questions? Any comments? Any questions about finding the optimum time? Optimum time. One technique of finding your optimum time and managing your resources, Adam. They have a couple of ways of profile management tools, guys. There's something called Slack and Float. Backward pass, I'll show you backward pass. There is different ways and different analysis. Time scaled networks. They call them time scaled networks. I'll show you one of them is backwards path, guys. These are part of the analysis that they do to make sure that the project is on time. So I'm going to go and we'll talk about the final path. I'm going to show you this one, gentlemen, if you don't mind me. Oops, here you go. If you guys remember this one, we talked about the critical path view. Adam, you remember this one? We start with here's the start of the project. Here's the final project delivered, and in between all the activities that we have to do, and we pick this path right here as a critical path. The reason for picking this path, guys, as a critical path from right here, because it takes longer to deliver the project. The longest time to deliver this project. Okay, so you take this critical path and you do analysis in it. That's called the backwards pass. Right in here, here's what they do. They have least least amount of time to do the activity. They have a couple of terminologies that they use. Least amount of time to finish the activities. LAS, the least acceptable start. So they add here, this is the earliest possible start, earliest possible finish. This is the duration, Adam. So I start at week 0, duration is 3, and it takes me 3 weeks to finish it, right? Right underneath it, right in here. So that's your schedule. Now you look at the schedule. Can I squeeze the schedule? That's what they're looking for, squeezing the schedule. After earliest possible start, earliest possible finish, and duration, right underneath it, what they do is what they call it the latest acceptable start time. This one they call it the latest acceptable start time, the latest acceptable finish time, and the total slack. So they take these two, subtract them from each other, and that will get you the total slack. By doing it this way, and I'm going to save you guys some of the analysis that they do. By doing it this way, you look at your network, Derek, and at the end you say, yeah, this project actually starts at week 3 and finish at week 18. It takes 13 weeks, but I might be able to squeeze it 10 weeks because I'm smart. So you can go pump more money into it, right? And put more resources and squeeze it down. Does that make sense? That's what they're trying to. You look at the network first. That's what you need now. Something happened. You're behind. Some activities are very important. So can I squeeze it down? Do I have slack to squeeze if I want to squeeze? So you look at all the activities, guys, and say, you know what? If I put more people on this activity, I can shorten the duration down to 10 weeks. Now my total slack time here, TS's total slack time is 10 weeks. So I know when I look at it, I said, I have more designers. I can bring the designers from a different group. I know I have them. I can pump them guys into the project and I have a slack of 10 weeks. Knowing that you have 10 weeks slack here by pumping more resources at them can affect, if something happened on this vertical path, you can, or the project, you can shorten the amount of time. You know what I mean? By pumping more resources, resources or people or money or whatever you need. Any comments, guys? Any questions about these so-called backwards pass? Does that make sense? I know it's a lot of analysis in that. Any comments, Matt? Questions about that? Comments about this network? I know you weren't here when we did over this one. Did we do it on Friday? I can't remember. No, on Thursday. You were here. Yep. So you look at these numbers, guys, which is basically earliest possible start time, duration, earliest possible finish time, least acceptable start time, least acceptable finish time. Can I squeeze it? What are the latest? I mean latest. So how can I squeeze these schedules by pumping more resources in it? And long story short, my friends, then what you're looking for, Adam, is you're looking for um, your direct cost and indirect cost and your optimum point right here. And then your cost of your project is going to be something like this. Here's my cost. This is my time. And this is indirect. This is direct. And this is your and this is the whole cost of your project. You can see you start very high, you go down to at one point that's your optimum. Your optimum is right in here. And this is what you want to shoot for when you design your project. And again, some of these guys you're still entry level, might not apply to you, but be aware of these terminology that they use: optimum time, direct and indirect cost of the project. It's all about time and money. Time and money. That's where you end up with the optimum cost. So the so-called the backward pass, it will help you as you start the latest start time and finish time, guys, and the total slack. It will help you squeeze the project, certain activities to end up on time, within budget, and happy customers, external and internal, is going to be up to you as a project manager. Any comments, guys? Any questions about that? Comments, questions? Matt, anything I can help you with here? So I'm not going to go over time-scaled network, guys. Same thing with using Microsoft Project Tool. They have another method. They have a couple of things. And finally, the final things you need to do, guys, is end up with a final plan. They call it, you need to end up with a final plan. 11, 10, there you go. So, what is the final plan? So after you do all this analysis, Adam, you have your resources, capital resources, you have your human resources, you train them, you take care of them. You have to have a plan. Your final plan, or they call it to finalize your plan. Use the 3 lines of defense to meet a customer's deadline. Make sure you guys anticipate problems as a project manager and have a reason to solve it. That's why all these total slack time, I know I have a slack in this activity, so if there's a problem, I can squeeze it. Find the optimal duration of a project. That's where they do all these analysis to do it. Leverage critical resources, people and bottleneck facilities. Make sure you know your resources. See, if I lost a week here because of weather or something, I can gain it in this activities. Does that make sense, Derek? Look at all the activities and see where you have slack, so you can pick up a week or two if something to happen. The last thing you want to do, guys, is you get a snowstorm shutdown and here's you are a week. A lot of good project managers, they factor these into the project. They have enough leeway in their project, or they can pump more people. Let's put more people in the project to finish the deadline. Does that make sense? The only way you can shorten an activity, Adam, that takes a week instead of a week, into half a week. You know what they do? By putting more resources in there, more people, and more resources, whatever it needs. It takes you to design this project, Adam, a week. And if I need the project done, we lost that week for whatever reason. Now I need it done in less than a week, in 2 days. I can put more designers on the same project, more resources, pay them to shorten it. Does that make sense, guys? Finding these activities bottleneck and pumping money into it. And perform last reality check. You have to. That's why we have all these slacks and what's not. And to leverage resources that you have, they have the find slack and float using backward pass. That's what you're looking at the activities and see where's the slack. Where can I squeeze a week or two or day or two? Construct time-scale network. Plot the resource profile. Start from the end. Work to the front. Move activities with slack into valleys and replot the profile. So basically, you look at all your schedules, guys, and summarize it, and look at the activities that's holding the whole project hostage, basically. Pump more resources into it, money and people, or whatever you needed, in order to minimize it, in order to keep your project on track, Any comments, guys? Any questions about the capital resources and the human resources, or human resources as part of your capital resources? So that chapter, and again, I summarized a few things, and I guys saved you the hassle of a couple of other techniques that they use. But for us, Adam, since we're electrical project managers, since we're only 10% of the pie, that's called construction, only 10%, by the way, the 90% is others. So keep in mind. So what we did, guys, is typically use a Microsoft project schedule and keep an eye on these activities. Your most important thing design-wise is the people. That's why Mike and Phil and all those guys at Mashad Cooley, they'll keep track of your time. When you submit your time, they see, well, how we're adding all these hours to the project. Let's look at, are we above or below, and why is it taking longer to do this activity? And they take things into consideration that you guys are new employees. They take training into consideration what's not a good project manager. So it's not always black and white, not because Derek took twice as much as the top-notch estimator at Parsons. Well, a good manager will say, hey, the guy just started, hello, give him enough time to ramp up. But if 5 years from now, Derek's still taking twice as much as the estimator, we are having a problem. Do you guys see that? So they take this into consideration. Typically, Derek, a good company will give you 6 months to a year to be fully productive. 6 months to a year. So after 6 months to a year, you have supposed to be fully productive into your line of product. That's why they like us here, guys, because when you you work at Mashad Math right now, you're productive day one. You know how to run their softwares. You're not 100% productive, but you're very close. You're up to, I would say, 85, 90% productive from the get-go. So they don't have to retrain you on certain things. You have to learn their culture, how they do business and what's not. But you hit the ground running. Any comments, guys? Any questions about resource management? So you have a Microsoft project schedule, guys, for your project. You keep track of your resources, start and finish and duration. You find the Slack where you can squeeze certain activities from your direct and indirect costs. You guys find the optimum duration of the project, and you try to pump more time, more money and resources to get you to optimum. I don't want it to be too long. I don't want it to be too short. It costs me more to be too short. It's cost me more to be too long. So like I said, here's the point that we're looking at, guys. Right in here. Right in the middle here. Not here, not here, and you try to shoot for that's the least amount of time and the least amount of resources that you need. Any comments, Karen? Any questions? Any comments, guys? Any questions about that? And I know you guys are still inter-level, but I can't emphasize, I really like this guy because it's smaller book related to project management. There's a lot of other things, guys, about project management, but this is a small you can get. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I really would like to go over, guys, the project control, which they're all related. You're going to see you use all these techniques, Adam, in order to come up to something called project control. And the ultimate goal of project control, I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes in a second, is very simple, Adam, successful project. How do you gauge successful project? Within budget, on time, happy internal and external customers with quality work. That's it. And everybody's happy, right? Got your check, and they hire you to do another building. And you keep doing it until you hit 67, for you guys 77 and a half, and you retire, or you drop before that. Isn't that interesting? All right, so let's take 5 minutes and then I'll flip into the control. We just finished this one, guys. Everything that we have done, Adam, so far, as a project management, the goal of having the plan, train the employees, having a schedule, is to keep the project on track. That's it. Keep project on track. So when we talked this chapter, chapter 11, guys, talks about project control. What is a project control? Project control is keeping the project on track. So I drew this one from the get-go, guys. Here's your time, and here's your cost, and here's your project going from point A to point B. And I don't want to even put the time and the cost here. I want to erase, but let's just, we're sailing from this point. We're sailing from this point to this point time-wise. Here's my B, and here's my A. and in between there will be fluctuating. These are the fluctuating, that control. You're keeping things in control, and ultimately you land into point P. That's the control of the project. Keep the project on track is the job number one of a project manager. So in order to keep the project on track, Adam, you have something called identify problems. Every project, guys, is going to have a problem. Your job, problems, every project. So the reason, don't get mad when there's a problem. The reason why you are project manager is to solve problems. So a good project managers can do two things. Identify the problem. So when you identify your problem, guys, so what's the why do we have a project control? Let's just answer the question. What is project control? Project control is keeping the project on track. What is the purpose of project control? So you don't go off the track. What's off the track? More money, delay in the project delivery. And that will cause, Karen, unhappy customer, internal or an external, less quality of work could be, or we do not meet the deadline, so the time duration is not met, or we spend more money than we need to. It screw up basically the successful of the project. The project is not successful. So the first thing you need to do is identify the problems. Identifying the problems, guys, is purpose of project control, keep it in track. You keep the project in control by identifying the problems. There are two types of problems, Adam. Anticipated problems. If you work as a project manager construction, guys, Derek, you're always going to have some problems, discipline coordination. You're always going to have some issues with other disciplines. Anticipate, unless you solve it in Revit, BIM, anticipate that you and the mechanical contractor are going to have some issues. Running conduits where they shouldn't be, coordinate between your fixtures and theirs. So that's anticipated problems. So you have to take into consideration, anticipate the problems that we almost always encounter when we have a project. So what do you do with these anticipated problems? The first, a good project manager, and BIM is trying to solve this problem, guys. We always know that there is collagen detection. You guys remember that collagen detection in Revit? We always know that there is a problem between mechanical and electrical in a building, right? Other systems. What they do is they have the electrical system and the mechanical system in the same building model, and they run collagen detection. So when they go to the field, everybody knows where their territory is. So you're, as a project manager, Matt, your job would be to coordinate with the mechanical guy if he did not follow. This corner is ours. If they put some piece of equipment there, your job is to communicate with them that this area is for our equipment. You're not supposed to put there. And that's what the project manager, the BIM is showing. So these are the anticipated problems. Surprise problems, snowstorm delayed you, strike, things like this one. These are surprise problems, guys, not anticipated. An accident that shut down the construction site, Derek. I don't know, somebody got killed and, in the project, not electrical, but another person, they shut down the project for whatever reason. So these are, you have to take into consideration, what can you do if there's surprise problems? So you build these into your project, unanticipated problems. And the most important thing, Karen, when you do the problem is to interfere. Here's what the time and the cost. Here's time and here's cost of problem solution. Your job as a project manager, Adam, is to solve the problem. So can you guys see, the earlier you interfere in the problem, the earlier you interfere, the less money will cost you to solve the problem. The later you interfere, can you guys see right here, the later you interfere, the more money it will cost you to solve this problem. So if you have a personnel problem, don't let it sit and mingle there for a long time. You need to jump in, solve the problem as they arise, because allow the problem to sit in your project will cost you more money. Make sense? Cost you. So walk in, interfere, be in there as a project manager, Derek. You're going to go to the field. Watch, have your blueprints. Watch where the mechanical guys are laying out the equipment. Make sure you know your project. If they lay out their equipment in a place that's supposed to be electrical, you as a project manager are supposed to interfere immediately before your people are standing there and waiting for them to take down their ducts so they can put their piece of equipment. Interfere before the minute that you see it, immediately interfere. Don't sit on it. So these are they call it money time curve, guys. The longer you sit, let the problem sit. This is problem. The longer you let the problem sit, the more money is going to cost you to solve it. The more money is going to cost you to solve it. So your job as a project manager, Adam, is to detect the problem, the anticipated ones and the unanticipated one, and solve them in a timely manner, immediately. Walk in, solve them immediately. Don't sleep on it because it will cost you more money to do them. Guidelines for problem solving in groups. It says a few guidelines, guys. Problems could be problem coordination between disciplines, problem on the schedule, guys, between personnels. Adam and Matt don't get along and they're fighting over laying out the power, and now we're 2 days behind in the project. Could that happen? It could in a design project. So your job as a project manager is to walk in and talk to the two people and bring them back on track. Your job, guys, solving the problem. How do you know that the problem is solved? Are we back on track or not? If we're back on track, the problem is done. If we're not back on track, the problem is not solved. So here's a criteria, guidelines for problem solving in groups. First, everyone must play by the rules. You have, as a project manager, guys, you set your expectation from Adam and Matt, who you guys work in the same project. As a project manager, there are expectations from you, and there's rules that we all play with. Part of the rules, for example, is not to go delete his stuff, right, that he did. That's unacceptable. You play with the rules. A second one is have each member state his or her own view problem for 1 minute. So this is where you guys sit there and you guys in conflict, right? You work for me. Tell me what the situation is. Tell me what the situation is. So you state your problem. Are you playing within the rules first? Make sure you know that you're playing with the rules. But there's always a gray area, Adam, that people fight over, that gray area. Develop alternatives in waves. So you have to have alternatives. Fourth, identify the top 3 solutions that would appear to solve the problem for all concerned and get the group to choose the best one. So okay, so you guys are fighting. Here's what you think. Here's what you think. What do you think the solution should be? Well, a solution couldn't be firing Adam. That's not a solution, or vice versa. But believe it or not, the personnel will tell you that. You should get rid of them. They're worthless, whatever. As a project manager, guys, you have, Derek, when I decide that you're good to be on my project, then you have a conflict with somebody who I decided also is good to be in the project, then the solution have to be anything but not firing X. You know what I mean? You have to find why the person is not getting along. Okay, so you guys come up with the 3 top solutions, and we'll choose the one that meets the expectation. And part of the meeting expectation, Adam, is compromise. You have to agree that you're not going to win. Win-win meaning you're going to lose, right? When we have a solution that win-win, meaning you lost. It means lose-lose, because we all lost and we all won. That's everybody's happy. If you can, of course. It's easier said than done in a lot of applications. So these are a few techniques, guys, that you can do. Develop develop an implementation plan for solution chosen by asking the group. So when you have a group working for you, develop how we're going to implement it. Implement the solution, keeping the top 2 other solutions on files as plan B or C. So you have 3 plans. The group came up with the 3 plans. They chose one, keep the other 2 as a plan B and C, right? Just it didn't work. And finally, my friends, 7, follow up. The last thing, now we have a solution. We're going to follow up. Implement the solution. So we're going to implement it. Keep the rest on the file. Then after a week, I'm going to check with Derek. Are you guys, how are you doing, you and Adam? Are you still fighting? What can I do to get you along? You know, that's personal problem. 8, the last thing, if plan A does not work, what do? We have a plan B and C. So have always multiple plans as a project manager, guys. So that's how you solve a problem in personnel or anything else, following a couple of rules. And ultimately, how do you know the problem is solved? Everybody is singing together, right? Everybody on track, the project on track, and we're delivering quality work to the customers. So that's your ultimately, guys, ultimate goal is as a project manager, anticipate problems. So you have to know that there is anticipated problems, there's surprise problems, and your job is to get these problems and solve them. Solve them immediately. Don't sleep on them. How do you solve them? If it's personnel problem, you're going to sit with the people. You can't just say you're right and you're wrong. That will work, by the way, but not for a long time. People, remember, you need happy internal customers. How do you make happy internal customers when every time I look at Adam, I say, Adam, you're right, and you're wrong. You're right, you're wrong. How do you think Matt is going to feel as a project, as a member of the team? So you're working, I always say, with your project manager, you look like a father or a mother for a group of people who work for you. So you play a game between your kids, so called their employees. So you want to make sure at least that the people believe you're fair, which you should be fair, I believe, and listen to all their solution. At one time, we all have to be big boys and girls and face the reality that maybe you should change. Um, um, just because your supervisor is listening to you doesn't mean he's agreeing with you. There's a difference between I listen to you, I really do. I write everything that you did, I analyze it, but agreeing with you is a whole complete different. You're obligated to listen to your employees, every one of them, the lousy one, the one that need more maintenance, and the top notch. Your job is to listen to them. And then after that, agreeing with them or not agreeing is different. That's why you're a project manager. You choose the best solution. And in the bottom line, Derek, the best solution should take into consideration happy internal employees. You don't want to piss them off. Nobody, guys, you don't want to piss the people who work for you off. Never. It works might be for this project. It wouldn't work for long term. You want them to buy into the solution. As long as they work for you, you want to buy them in the solution. The best way to do it is by starting with the people who fit in your culture. They call it people who fit in the culture. You fit in the culture. Now we all fit in the same culture, but eventually we will have conflict. Then we solve it better. If you hire people who don't fit in your culture, you're going to have a lot of problems. And you're going to end up letting people go, which is bad news too. You don't want to be seen as hire, big fire. Okay, so that's getting the project on track. The most important thing, guys, all these waves, keep them under, you are the project manager right here, and your eyes are on the track here, and you keep squeezing the project, the resources, and the time. Are we going on time? Are we on track? Are we solving the problem that anticipated? Now, the next part, guys, is dealing with you as a project manager. What type of project manager do you want to be, Adam? Dictator? There's multiple ways of a project manager you can be, guys. There's dogmatic approach, my way or the highway. You do what I want you to do. That's one way of managing a project. But remember, we gauge the success of the project direct. You told me a story about, was it the guy, I don't want to say I'm recording here when I'm recording, but there are people, guys, who manage by fear. Do you want to manage by fear? Is that what you want to be, managing by fear? Or laid back approach? Or do you want to be sit back and let things go, roll, right? If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, sit back. So there's the managing by fear, sit back. And the third one, Adam, is pragmatic approach, which is the most preferred one. Pragmatic, you interfere when you need to, you pull back when you don't. Nobody cares and wants to be micromanaged. Nobody, none of us. None of us want to be micromanaged. And at the same time, as a project manager, I don't want to micromanage you, but I have to allow you an area of autonomous area so you can play around within these circumstances. The minute that you jump beyond the boundaries of your autonomous area, now you start to interfere with the flow of the project. I have to interfere as a project manager. That's how, as a good project manager, you guys, each one of your employees, give them an autonomous area that they play within, right? All of them playing within this area. And you as a project manager, I'm going to put Derek right here. Put him right here. And the minute Derek jumps and starts playing in this area, I have to interfere and put him back into his autonomous area. That's you as a project. Unfortunately, all of us play within a boundary, guys. There's a boundary. So keep in mind there is boundaries now. Unfortunately, these boundaries are not clear sometimes. Sometimes it's clear in your mind as a project manager, but not clear in Matt. So Matt, for example, doesn't know that part of his boundary is not to go bust Adam and tell him what to do. So they go on busting Adam and telling him what to do. Now you exceeded your boundary. You stepped over the boundary of somebody else. So as a project manager, communicate the boundaries for the people that work for you. These are what the rules, basically. Set the rules and allow him to play within these rules. Don't just jump in every time. Derek is here, Chad is right here, and mingling around with his work too. You want to give the people enough room to grow, enough room to do their work. But if they are to jump in the boundary. Let's say you're working for design. I allow you guys to do the design. My expectation is the design is going to be done in a week. Your boss is going to be designs on the week. Let it go. They don't sit there and say, did you put this receptacle here? Did you put this thing here? No. But at the end of the week, you are to deliver a product. If you did not deliver the product, they did not meet the expectation and that have been given to you within your boundaries. So keep this in mind as an employee as well as an employer. All of us guys have boundaries. And it's nice to give boundaries for people, guys. Boundaries allow you to play good. That's why we divide the cities into lots. My lot, my house, I can do whatever we do, but I can't jump into the neighbors and in their yard and mingle with their yard. So we all have the boundaries, all of us in life, and the same thing for employees. Boundaries, play within their rules. Do not make their life miserable by micromanaging them. That's where pragmatic approach is, and do not be afraid, Adam, to interfere when needed. When you see that Matt is not doing what he's supposed to do, or he's crossing his boundaries that you set for him, and that will affect the project, you are to interfere. You are to interfere. Any comments, guys? Any questions about these approaches? So we have dogmatic approach. We have laid back approach. What's the problem with laid back? You don't want to be laid back too much, too. Laid back too much, guys. At the end of the project, you discover you are 1 million job. Well, guess what? You're going to kiss your career, Derek. Goodbye. You're done. Go find yourself a different company, basically. So that's it. Your head is on the line as a project manager, guys. The project is yours. Ultimately, on time, within budget, happy internal and external customers with quality work. That's what you're going to deliver. Now, you might, if you achieve 100% in each one of them, Adam, that's a full success. If you achieve 70% in each one of them, your success is 70%. But you have to meet these criteria. If you are on time and within budget, and the customer is happy, right? And quality work, but your employees are a little bit upset. That's okay. Now, next time, let's work on making the employees buy too much into it. What did they do to make them pissed off that much? You know what I mean? So this is where you, as a project manager, you keep juggling all these balls together. So these are your your approach, guys, as a project manager. So we have accountability. Again, you trust the people, give them boundaries, but you become accountable. You have to deliver, especially guys after you become your entry level. Like after 6 months, you're accountable for your product. You're submitting a product for your employee, for your employer, and you're accountable for it. And you have 1 strike, Adam, 2 strikes, 3 strikes, you're done. If you do the same mistake 3 times, guys, it's a problem for your employer. Any employer. Where school were different, like I said, but an employer, Matt, you're working at Michelle Cool Erickson. They want to give you a Revit project. You did the circuiting wrong the first time, the second time, the third time. It becomes an issue. The black dots. Remember the black dots. You don't want them next to your name. So for project control process, guys, you have weapons. They call them weapons for your project control to keep track, make sure that when we're going point A to point B with the minimum amount of fluctuation. Weapon number 1 is communication. Communicate the expectation from the people on the boundaries for each one of us. So we all on the same, maybe Adam doesn't know what Chad wants you to do, right? I don't know what you want me to do. Make it clear, guys. And communication is 2 ways. Me explaining it to you if you work for me, Adam, and you also asking me if you don't understand. Does that make sense, guys? So communication both ways. When you go meet with your boss at Michelle Cooley and they tell you, I want you to do things, and if something is not clear, I like what Derek always do. He write things down. I do the same thing. Don't go to a meeting with your boss, guys, without a piece of paper. Don't. Get a piece of paper that will show your supervisor that you care to write things. Don't better actually a planner. I like to take a planner every time I meet with my supervisor or people who used to answer with me. I have a planner. So when your supervisor says things, oh, I remember. You're not going to remember it. Life is too busy. Write it down. It shows your employer that you care. And if you made a mistake, At least remember, it's all about image. You show them that you care. I brought a piece of paper with me. I wrote what you did. So these are communication is so important. Participation, guys, and make sure that people, as an employee, make sure you participate. As an employer, make sure the people participate. So grab Karen and let her participate, and Matt and everybody else in your project. You don't want people just to sit back. Get the best out of them. You have believed that they are the best. Mishad believed that you guys are the best, and they hired you, right? They believe, and I believe that you are the best. Now you have to, your job is to continue convincing them that you are the best. You know what I mean? Participation, analysis, action, commitment. So you have to analyze the situation as a project manager. That's another weapon. You have been selected as a project manager because of your ability to deal with people. Part of project management, not just leading a project, guys, leading people. The project is built by people, electricians in the field and designers in the office. If you're at Mishad Cooley or at Hunt, designers and estimators and electrician in the field. And you as a project manager are in charge of all the big picture. So if you're not a people person, you're screwed up. You're literally screwed up. It's going to cause you a lot of problems. Participation, we talked about analysis, and that's the situation. Action. Do not be afraid, Derek, of taking action. You are empowered by the company to take action. For example, safety issues. If you see something that could get your company $100,000 or $25,000 fine from OSHA because one of the electricians is doing certain things that's not safe, do not. Your project. You should immediately interfere, stop them. Take exercise. I call it exercise your power. Wisely, of course, you don't want to be a dictator, remember, but if you see something that's completely dangerous, completely or somebody harassing somebody under your project, in the office or in the field, and you will see that one, a female or whatever, cultural things, and somebody is harassing them, the first thing comes to your mind is two things. Number one, we all believe we're a human being, we should not do that, right? That's morally. But if you don't believe in that, what else, Derek, you will be believing in? Lawsuit. Right? Lawsuit. Do you want a lawsuit under your watch? Is that something on your record? A person got sued your company because they were working on your project and they got harassed, or or OSHA fined your people who are working for you at $25,000. Is that a record that you want? So these are the things that you have to keep. Don't take action. Do not be afraid of exercising your power. As a project manager, you're given a certain amount of power. Do not be afraid of exercising them wisely. So that's action, analyzing the situation, commitment. Do not, I always tell the people, a good company, guys, you work for me, for this project, you have been chosen to work for Mishad Cooley right now. My expectation is you will be committed to Mishad Cooley Erickson. You could be committed to the project. You as an employee, and your expectation, Adam, as a project manager, from all the people who work for you, your expectation is to be committed to the organization and committed to the project. If you do anything that interfere with this commitment, as a project manager, do not. You have to exercise your power wisely and remind the people of that commitment to the project is required. Commitment. I give you an example, guys. When Shane came, remember he from Hunt, he said how many weekends he worked. Why would you work weekend? What would that show if you're working a weekend for your supervisor? You're committed to the project. If there's a due date and I ask you, Derek, we're going to work this weekend, and you said, no, I'm going to go fishing this weekend. Not like my grandma died. That's a different story. Or I want to take my son to a surgery. There's emergencies. But I want to go fishing this weekend with my buddies. So your fishing trip with your buddies is more important than us keeping the project on track. That's what you're telling me, especially if you're that vital. And even if I can replace you with Adam, but the message that you sent to me is your fishing trip is more important to you than my project that you're part of it. Even if your employees say, oh, no problem, go ahead. But here's what I would say, Derek. I would say, well, I have a plan this weekend, but if you would like me to come, I will do. I will change my plan. Just saying that will show that you're committed to the project. Does that make sense, guys? And that's what managers love. Managers love people who are committed to the projects, to the company, because ultimately we're making a living. It's not a paycheck. If you want to be seen as a paycheck working for somebody, guys, you will be the first. Remember, there's a blacklist, and people names, we're all in it, including all of us. It, you don't want to be at the top. So that's not commit, shows that you're not committed to the process is big deal. A celebration. Another example, Derek Parsons will do a celebration for the projects. And the celebration day, Derek decided to go to Arizona that day. You know, scheduled. You know that your company is doing celebration. They bring the whole people and we hee hee ha and we eat. And you that day decided to go to Arizona. So think about it. What message are you sending to your project manager? We're bringing electricians here and engineers. We're celebrating our company, and you don't care. Think about it. I know you care, but do you see the message that you're sending? I don't care. So these are the things that are related to commitment. It really is. And even if I hope you care, but even if you don't care, you don't want to be seen as if you don't care. Um, and good employees, guys, you're going to see at Parsons, every good company, guys, that you guys work for, they believe in balancing life and work. Every company now in this day and age, we're not in the 1800s or in the 50s and 60s where the abuse of the employer. Everybody believes in balancing life and work, but commitment within balancing life and work. If I need you, I need you, but I will make sure that always plan ahead, a good manager, and not put ourselves in a bottleneck. So that's your commitment to the project. So that's basically it, guys. I'm going to summarize by adding the project control, and we talked about different approaches for management and what's not. Ultimately, project control is to keep the project on track. Here's my point A, I keep doing that, and here's my point B, and we're shooting from here. Well, I told you guys there's fluctuation, but the fluctuation, you are controlling it. So what do you think when we were heading this way? Who do you think brought us back? Adam, when we were heading away from the goal, who do you think brought us back? You're the project manager. Adam or Matt, you're not on track. I have to kind of swing you back to bring you on track. You are the project manager. You are sitting right here, and your eyes is on the process. Your eyes on the process, and you interfere. Look at they allow them to fluctuate. That's where the freedom goes. We allow people to fluctuate. Look at that fluctuation that we're doing. Your job is to minimize that fluctuation, keep them on track. How far you fluctuate from the track, Derek, you're going to decide with all these methods that you have. Okay, I assigned 5 days for the power, and he took 6 days. Fine, a day, it's part of the plan. Okay, we squeeze it. Now, I assigned 5 days for the power, and he took 10 days. Oops. Maybe we need to compensate for these extra 5 days somewhere. We need to interfere. That's where you interfere. Bring it back. So now Adam, you took 10 days. Now the lighting have to be done in half of the amount of time to compensate. That's where you squeeze it. So ultimately, guys, project control will guarantee you, nothing will guarantee you anything in life, but it will most likely, I want to use the word, most likely guarantee you a successful project. And Kieran, if you want to learn one thing from your friend Chad, a successful project is defined as within budget, on time, happy customers, internal and external, and quality work done. That's what a successful project. So you're going to play within these parameters, and when you gauge yourself how successful your project was, have I delivered the quality work for the customers? Is the customers happy and they will hire us next time? And have I made money for the company? And have I delivered the project within time? And have I screwed up the people who work for me and they're best off? Or are they happy to jump into next project if they have a choice? Some of us don't have a choice, but Derek, you're going to see later on when you work at Michelin, people move around, and you go to your supervisor and say, you know what, I would like to go work for X. You want to be that X that people want to work for. That's it. That's your job. That's a good successful. Because you're successful and very successful people. You want to be the very successful person, the person who, if given a choice, I would like to work for you. If I given a choice. If I have no choice, I'll work. But you want the people to work for you, because if they're given the choice to work for you or for Adam, they'll work for you, not for Chad. You know what I mean? That's what happy internal customers will guarantee you. buying them a lunch, share the profit with them, do a lot of techniques, guys. Be nice to them. Don't intimidate people. Don't trap them. There's a lot of tools that you can make the people happy, care about them. It's nice to go from time to time and, hey, Matt, how are you? How are you doing? What are you doing this weekend? And, um, just chat with the people, get to know the people who work for you. Matt gets married, and nice to give him a gift as a project manager. I know it's not a must, but it's really nice. Wow, he cared about me when I got married or when I got a child. You know what I mean? He really cares about me. So these things, we're human beings, guys. These things go a long way. Go a long way, especially when you want to work with people for a long time. Any comments, guys? Any questions about project control? Project control. So we have a plan, we have a schedule, we work on the resources that we have. We talked about communication, guys, and all this good stuff. Ultimately, you are standing there and looking at the process. If you do a great schedule, Derek, the best schedule that God created, and have the best people and don't watch it. If you don't watch, control is watching. Check and balance. Check and balance. Allow the people to play within the boundaries, and your eyes are watching. So that's what every project manager does. Eyes are watching, but don't micromanage. Remember, pragmatic. You interfere when you need to. You pull back and give the people the time to exercise their right of growth and right of decision. Listen to the people. Does not mean you agree with them, and make it clear for the people, because a lot of people, guys, think if you don't agree with me, you don't listen to me. There is a major difference between listening to you, Matt, and agreeing with you. And if I don't agree with you, I have an obligation to explain to you why didn't I agree with you. A good manager, if you told me to do something, Derek, and I don't want to do it, I could say I don't want to do it and move on. Now you're best off, right? Remember, happy internal customers. Your job is to explain to me why I don't want to do it. Now, if you buy into it or not, I hope you would. I hope I'll communicate it in a nice way that you will understand why I did what I did. But, ultimately, you might not agree with it, but you'll appreciate at least the effort that, well, at least he's trying to explain to me why he didn't agree with me, instead of, yeah, my way or the highway, which is easy. That's why they can build in China, what is it, saying in a week they can build a riser or something. If somebody's running the show in the US, it'll take us a long time to discuss, and in the government especially, because we have to listen to people. And sometimes listening to people is harsh, and you have to play the game and listening and meeting and all this. But ultimately, that's the best way to do it, because you do it right. It takes time though. And you have, as a project manager, guys, you're playing it within the parameters that we have in the US. You have to schedule meetings and communication, what's not, and so forth. Any comments, guys, about project control? So, Karen, the last chapter I have in this book, guys, I'm going to do it next week if you guys don't mind. And I encourage you to buy that book or something similar. It's called Project Control Techniques. There's a few things left. What do you do? How do you do the project control? What are the few techniques that you do to get a project control? So project reporting, for example, how to report the projects, techniques, and so forth. I'm going to do this one, guys. That will be the last chapter. We'll talk about project management. I hope you guys enjoyed it between me and the people, the speakers who come. I know you're still employees, so it's far away from project management. But in a couple of years, you'll be surprised. Cool. So the rest of the day, guys, I know you're eager to continue taking off. Please highlight what you take off. Please take off as much as you can out of the project. If you have any questions, like I said, guys, please ask your friend Chad. And by the end of the week, we will going to have everything printed, right? And everything highlighted, and you'll get good grades, and we'll graduate you to the better life. Good life or better life? Good life, better life. Thank you.